Hey guys, welcome to this week's recap of the Real Housewives of Potomac. This is reunion part 3. Like I've been doing before for the other reunions, I like to give a title to each of the reunions of what they should have called it, because I feel like with all the episodes, they should have a title, not just at the end just call it reunion part 3. No. I think for this one, the title of this is just what a sad ending to this season. Like, it was so sad. Like, this is such a sad ending. Was the filming of Robin Dixon interview with Andy Cohen necessary? It was, but did we get anything from it? No, because Robin, she doesn't open up about her life like that. She's just gonna give you the very surface level response to every question that Andy has. It's like watching paint dry. So maybe we should name this episode Watching Paint Dry, because honestly I was so disappointed, not only like with Robin but with all the other girls too. Every girl, I was a little bit disappointed with how the situation went down. So let's get into it. So where we last left off, of course, Mia and Jacqueline, they were doing their back and forth, and I'm pretty much over the situation because at the end of this argument, we pretty much learned that Jacqueline is saying false rumors and Mia is saying false rumors. Pretty much Jacqueline is just standing up on what was false and what was incorrect for Mia to say about her. And then Mia was saying what's incorrect about what Jacqueline had to say about her. The only thing that we did learn is that pretty much about Mia's business, according to Jacqueline, Mia is not the CEO of the company. Her husband is. And for me, if her husband is the CEO of the company, might as well Mia be the CEO of the company. Come on, that's just picking on these little things. That's like, what's the bigger picture? Ruining your long time friendship is so unnecessary, and it's just, I was so over this whole situation. And of course, if Jacqueline's gonna come and say all these things about Mia, Mia's gonna retaliate and go even lower. Mia, she pulled out her bedazzled portfolio. Andy called it a box. It was a portfolio. And Mia, she wanted to look through her receipts. Like, she's trying to get to her receipts quick to say something about Jacqueline. But, Jacqueline is going off what she already rehearsed. She pulled out her sheets, but she wasn't even referencing the sheets. She was just showing the sheets as display. But Jacqueline was going in, taking shots. And, Mia was saying, no, these are rumors, and I'm going to say rumors about you back. If I know it's not true, I'm not going to worry about it. And we kind of get a little bit of more of a reasoning to why Mia is so hard on Jacqueline. Pretty much, when Jacqueline said, oh, it must be because Mia is not getting some from her husband. That's why she's being so harsh, so rude. And Mia retaliated because she felt like, Jacqueline knew of her husband's health issues. And to come for his performance in the bedroom, it's a low blow. And she is not having it. She's going to defend her husband. And she's going to do that with anything she could pull to say about Jacqueline, she's gonna do. So it's just like people just spreading rumors. It's not even real. Even Jacqueline admit that she lied to help Mia to get a storyline. So these girls are just, essentially trying to get a check, make anything that's interesting so they can have a spot on the show. But all of it is not real. And it's just I don't see how this relationship is going to mend. Like, they did not leave in a note to make me feel like, okay, they can sit down later this evening or tomorrow to really talk and reflect and work things out. It's just too much low blows, too much bringing in other parties. For example, Jacqueline talking about her family doesn't like Mia. How is that gonna make Mia feel? She regards Jacqueline's people as her family too, if she's been living with you guys and she felt like she was one of their own. It's like you're bringing in people who are not gonna change their minds right away once you bring them in. Like, for example, anyone can relate to this. You have an issue with your man, you go talk to your friend about it, you hype up your friend about it for you to be over it the next day. Like, girl, your friend, of course, gonna look at you crazy and gonna look at your man crazy some type of way. But, at the end of the day, you really need to work on your issues with whoever you're dealing with on your own, like one-on-one. Don't bring other people involved, because that's not gonna help. If anything, it's gonna make it more difficult to come back together to mend a friendship, a relationship, or whatever ship you want to call, okay? And, I was done and over it. I don't know if we're going to be seeing Jacqueline next season, if we're going to be seeing Mia next season, because what's the point of you coming on the show, which supposedly is supposed to be a reality show, if you're just going to make and pass along rumors? What the girls and what the boys want to see on Bravo is people being actually genuine about their life, and their life, actually truly being this interesting that we're watching, We don't want to hear that, oh, you're a billionaire and you're not a billionaire. What's the point of watching someone who's just making it up? We might as well watch something else that's like make-believe, but, have an interesting plot, Come on. Be genuine, be real. And that goes for all the girls, because it seems like all the girls, when they try to get at the other one, the strategy to do is to make up a rumor, make up a lie that they heard from this person that's not true, and then come forward with no pictures, no receipts, no evidence, and that be the storyline for the season. That is just not, no. That's not gonna work, and that's not gonna show longevity for this franchise. If we look at other franchises like Miami, for example, those girls, they show us their real lives, what they go through day to day, and is genuine and real, and we see the girls bonding together because it's real, And what is missing for the Real Housewives of Potomac is that genuineness, like the girls truly bonding after going through something that is real. And it's just like, guys, like, come on. I don't know if they're planning to take out all the people who are on this cast and who gets to stay, but Mia and Jacqueline are not the only ones who do this. The other girls, they like to spread the rumors and use that as a storyline, as if that's how they're gonna keep their check. No. That's not gonna keep you in the long run. They have to be real. Go back to being real. Go back to being honest about their lives. That's what you get paid to do, to share your lives, okay? Because let me go up there and make up some stuff and get a check for that. Come on, anyone can do that. But of course, that's going to have some issues, some damages. And I think the only way Bravo is going to understand that they cannot let these girls get away with it is if Bravo gets sued for those damaging lies that they are platforming. Because you're platforming these girls who are lying and is damaging people's lives. For example, we have to witness and see Chris finally have the opportunity to get some sort of justice. Did he get justice? I don't know. If anything, it was overshadowed by a lot of situations. And I felt like this was so disappointing. This season was a miss for me. So, this whole situation with Mia and Jacqueline just highlights it. It just brings to surface the underlying issues that's within this franchise. And I do think there needs to be some adjustments, some sort of penalties for these girls for pulling rumors as if that should be the storyline of the season. So we next get Charisse, and it's time for Charisse to, share her thoughts about the season, everything she went through. As you know, Charisse, she gets along with most of the girls except for Miss Karen, where we actually saw the actual situation, the beef. But I don't know why Robin makes it a point to be clear, Charisse gets along with everybody except for Wendy and Karen. I did not know that Charisse had an issue with Wendy or Wendy had an issue with Charisse. I didn't know, but I didn't like that Robin made a distinction to kind of take a jab. We already talked about how some women in the cast have been purposely excluded or isolated. Why would you go ahead, after the previous episode about talking about colorism, that you would go ahead and exclude Wendy as another person being not a friend to Charisse. Who knows? Maybe, Charisse is busy, Wendy is busy. They haven't had an opportunity to get to know each other. I don't think that Wendy would have an issue of not getting to know Charisse. I feel like Wendy is the most open to all the girls, and she's been trying actively to get to know all these girls. But have these girls received Wendy? I don't know. I feel like for Wendy to develop these friendships with these girls, she had to put in a lot of work and take a lot of crap for it. Like, it shouldn't be that hard to be someone's friend. So I did not like that. So we get a little recap of, Cherise season and how it impacted with the other girls. We get to talk about Charisse, supposedly Charisse questionable behavior. And, this is about where Karen feels like she's going still grieving the loss of her mom, and she didn't like how Charisse came to her mother's funeral and made it clear that she was there, and she was clout chasing for the situation. But I felt like whatever Karen's issue is Charisse, it seems like it's one-sided because Charisse doesn't feel any type of way towards Karen. I feel like Charisse is going based off whatever you give Charisse, because I feel like Charisse is a person that wants to get along with most people. I feel like even though Charisse doesn't see that her trying to interact with Karen is not being received, that she doesn't understand, okay, I'm just not gonna be friendly with Karen. Just accept this boundary and don't push yourself into that situation. I feel like Karen made it clear that she has a boundary and she doesn't want to be friendly with Charisse. Charisse should see that and not, play into it and make herself the victim. Because at that point, I don't think Charisse is a victim. I don't think Karen is a victim. I think these girls, they don't like each other. So sit in separate corners and don't look at each other and don't get into any issues with each other. Because if anything, the other girls, they're trying to put Charisse in Karen's environment where she clearly doesn't want to be involved with Charisse. Okay. So we address Charisse coming to Karen's mother's funeral. And, Karen was completely uninterested in the topic, first of all. She doesn't want to have the conversation about her mother's funeral being associated with Charisse. It's not about Charisse, okay? And it's not about Karen. I think she wants to separate those two and not being a conjoined topic about. Because, of course, imagine if she does an interview or, anyone ask her about the situation, like how you're dealing with the grief of your mother, and then people associating that with Charisse. Like, come on, like that is a bit weird. And I do think that it is kind of smart for Karen to realize that she doesn't want those two to be associated in a topic as something just to talk about frivolously, because talking about her not liking Karen is different from her grieving about her mother, So I can see that for Miss Karen. The girls, they talked about pretty much the timeline of events of things, and it seems like it's unclear to when Karen stopped liking Charisse. And it comes up in, okay, so Karen had a Ladam event, and Charisse was invited. Karen also had a 55th birthday, which was an intimate birthday party, and there's proof of evidence of Charisse being at the party. Karen goes to say that, the reason why Charisse was at the party is because she asked and her assistant put Charisse on the list. But Charisse goes to say, no, I was invited. I would not have come if I was not invited. And so it's just like back and forth, but is it truly necessary? If these two ladies don't see themselves having a friendship with each other and they just want to keep it cordial, I think what needs to be done is that, Karen got to stop inviting Charisse, or Charisse don't go to Karen's events, because why would you go where you're not wanted or invited or want to be included in, So I feel like these are simple solutions, and this is like not a way to make the season interesting. It's just so dumb. I want to talk about real things to know about these ladies' lives, and this is their biggest issue, then this is a boring season, boring franchise. Okay. We then talk about Sharice's accusations about Karen. And Karen says, oh, this is not true, but she has a set of rumors that she knows about Sharice. And Sharice says, well, that is untrue. You don't know anything about me. And here again, we see that the girls are using rumors to carry the season, to carry the episode, and we're done. We're done. And, Mia, of course, she chimes in and she gives her, support towards Sharice and says that, she knew of an owner who knows some things and have some involvement with Karen. And of course, Karen is like, no. You can't just say that and think it's okay and brush off from the situation. Karen asked for Mia to provide the information of the person who knows about so-and-so that involves with her so that she can sue. And that is exactly what needs to happen so these girls can stop saying that they know something that they don't know firsthand, that they haven't seen with their two eyes, that they are relying from pretty much hearsay. So I'm thinking, okay, this may be where, Bravo probably have to cut ties with Mia because this is too much. Mia always comes up with lies, changes her mind, and pretty much get the facts wrong. And I don't know how much interest Mia brings in for them to still keep Mia. Because Mia, she does say outrageous stuff that, makes me laugh, cackle a little bit. But I wish she would stop lying because the lies are gonna be her downfall. And it's too much of a rumor mill going. We're pushing on rumors. Like, no. Like these girls say, that the same people that are calling you to say something about you are the same people that are gonna go ahead and call me and tell me something about this person and that person, So it's just like a rumor mill show. Like, no, and they don't even got the tea. They don't even got the receipts. Like, we have to actually rely on, the sketches that the producers are producing. Like, come on. Like, that is so So next, we talk about Robin. The focus is on Robin. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, let's go, Robin. And what you got to say? So Robin, she went through some stuff this season. I mean, she got a new house. She had issues with Wendy, the deal about the prenup, and pretty much Juan's other woman, and then Robin's wedding day. So everyone congratulates her for her wedding day, of course, because no one thought it was going to happen, and they were quite shocked that it was going to happen, that it actually happened. So pretty much, Robin is happy how things went down for her wedding. She was mostly happy because she was able to include her parents and everything just felt right. Her friend helped her here in the States to have the wedding here in Maryland instead of doing it overseas. And what was interesting is that Giselle, she wasn't invited to the wedding, but she thought she would get a last minute invite. So she did kind of felt some type of way that, she felt like she would have been there, but she understood her friend wanting to do it the way she did. Okay. When it came down to whether or not she did a prenup with Juan, she actually did. And they're doing a 50-50 split, which, is a shocker to Sharice because Sharice felt like, you were judging me in my situation because I received 50-50 from my divorce. And, Robin, pretty much, she's able to justify the 50-50 with her situation with Juan because with Juan, she felt like they were both instrumental in each other's careers. So they could understand that 50-50 down the line is fair. She did say some caveats where she said that Juan would not get ownership of her businesses. It wouldn't go down like that. And Andy, he asked an interesting question. Andy asked if there's a fidelity clause. And that was the big dun-dun-dun because what we now know from what happened, we want to know, was there any kind of give in the prenup for infidelity. And what she let us know in filming is that there's no fidelity clause. And the reason why is that she didn't want to set herself up, pretty much making a joke as to maybe she wants to get into the cheating situation or something. Maybe she wants to get into an entanglement, which I thought, okay, I mean, I guess. I mean, knowing from her situation now, I don't see that out of the realms, because they may have an open relationship just from speculation of it all. But who knows? Who knows? But I didn't know whether or not they would sign a 50-50 prenup. I didn't think they were gonna sign the prenup at all. I thought they were just gonna let it rock, let it ride like that. But we were surprised with that. She did address about Karen being obsessed with her wedding, and she said that pretty much, someone who didn't like her asking so much information about her wedding, she was convinced that, Karen is obsessed, but Karen was convinced that the wedding was not going to happen, especially if you bring it forward to the girl group to talk about it. You would think that, they would be a part of it, or they will at least know when it was going to happen. So that was like a quick, thing that was addressed. But what was interesting and kind of glossed over was Juan's other woman. So it was more of a joke of the sketch of the Karen doppelganger than for Juan to be seen with another woman. And, Robin, of course, she doesn't like to address this drama. He doesn't like to address this drama, especially since there's no picture proof of the other woman. She doesn't feel a need to address it, but she does know at that time what went down with Juan in the hotel receipt. So it seems as though, she's not going to be forthcoming at all with anything that has to do with Juan. If anything, she said that Juan does not watch the show. He does not like this mess. So from what I'm understanding, Juan is not going to participate at all when it comes to Bravo. And, it's interesting that, his wife, she benefits from being on the show, but she's not going to show much when it comes to her relationship with Juan, because obviously Juan wants nothing to do with it. He only has been on one episode, and that's it. But it's just so dry. I don't see how long she's going to be able to last in this franchise, if she's going to be able to come back next season. We then, I guess, talk about the biggest controversy that got the most feedback from viewers is about the family fun day, where she actually did not want to invite Wendy, but wanted Wendy's kids to show up. And I'm like, how does that even make sense? And Robin, of course, she's like, it made sense to her. She didn't see it as wrong. Everyone can have their own opinion, but what she saw in that situation was not wrong, and she would have done the same or expected the same for her kids. If you're not going to invite her, that she would still send her kids. And I'm like, girl, she is choosing to be blind about the situation. That was a dig. Come on. It's like, why would you why would you not invite the mother but have her kids come? You could poison them. You could do something wrong to them. Like, no. If you don't like the mom, you don't like the kids, because the kids are in the extension of the mother. Until they are of age of 18 and older, they are the extension of the mother by surrogate. So she's involved with what has to go down with her kids, and that's that. But when the kids are like past 18, they can be their own independent adult and make their own decisions. At that point, you don't even have to ask Wendy if you want to come. You would ask the grown adult if you would like to come. You're invited, period. So come on, have more sense than that, Robin. Like, that was so cheesy, and I'm like, come on, that cannot be a thing. She did also happen to address, because Andy brought it up, because Robin not gonna address nothing if you don't ask her. So she did address about the lawsuit that's going on with Juan and his school, and pretty much she lets it be known that the wrongdoings that are alleged against Juan are not true, and that's that. She can't speak much about it because of course the lawsuit is going on. The lawsuit is about bullying and harassment, so she couldn't comment really much about the situation, and that was what we were going to get from that situation. We then get the husbands out. And I'm like, oof, okay, finally. Finally, the husbands are coming out because it can be a little bit more interesting because these girls are not giving it. So Ray's out. Happy Eddie is here. Robin's husband didn't come. He was at work. Gordon was there and Chris was there. So pretty much Ray, he stand by his girl LaDom. He's a LaDom and he never missed a reunion and he always shows up for her. So I'm like, yay. That's Ray, of course. I love how Ray is so supportive of Karen. Eddie stands by his girl. He shows up. When we pan over to Robin, her husband was not there. All she could say is that he's working, and I'm like, that is so convenient. He of course, as she mentioned before, he doesn't want to be a part of it. So of course he was not going to show up. I feel like, especially given the situation that his wife is in with the drama about the other woman, I thought he would have showed up to at least make a statement to stand by his girl and not let his girl always have to defend him. Like, I would be so tired. Okay? Then we have Mr. G, Gordon, and he's always a ball. He's always excited to come. I was expecting him to show up regardless of the situation with Jacqueline. Chris, he was okay. He appreciated that he was here, but you could tell he was upset. And I'm like, he needs his moment to address. I hope he gets ample amount of time to speak his mind. So, of course, we got into Eddie and Wendy's relationship first. Let's go through the easy ones first, and then we get to the deep situation with Chris. So, with Eddie and Wendy, pretty much what they asked him about is that they were the viewers were happy to see how they as a couple were dismissing or pretty much rolling off the joke off their backs, pretty much, of Eddie being called Happy Eddie, of that whole situation with Ashley and her friends. And Eddie's a pretty chill guy, and Wendy, she rolls with him, and it was not that much, they had to speak on, they didn't have much to address in this season. They did talk about, like, pretty much Wendy wanting to get into the restaurant industry, and if he bankrolls it, and he says, they bankroll it together, but, Wendy, she goes in deep into the pockets, so they have a cute relationship. Would I like to see them in the next season? Sure. I feel like, they contribute some sort of lightness when we see them interacting, and it's good to see happy and healthy relationships on reality TV shows. So I would like to see them come back. I would like to see more of their family. Her mother is such a funny lady. So I like to see her interact more with her mother in the future seasons. But they did okay this season. They're not too much. A little bit on the safe side, but they were okay. They didn't bother me. We then get into Gordon and Mia. And, Gordon, he makes Mia seem more real. Gordon, he talked about, going through the health scare with Mia. And to see this tough guy start to tear up, I was like, wow. I had so much, empathy towards him and Mia's, struggles by asking so many questions, but not getting answers to what was wrong with Mia, And he loves her because he was so emotional about his baby. He's like, if he was to lose Mia, he can't imagine what about the kids. I thought that was a sweet side that we got to see of them, which, if Mia would be just honest, don't pass along rumors, she has good potential to be a good housewife for the Real Housewives of Potomac, because she's so transparent. She's very open, but I just want her to be open and honest, not open and half honest. Gordon, he also addressed the situation about Jacqueline. He had no sexual relationship with that woman, and, he views Jacqueline as a sister, and, but with me as friends, if you get specific, they did more. But when it comes to Jacqueline, he views her as a sister, and he has done nothing with her, okay? And that was done. We then get to Chris, okay? And, Chris, he was now afforded the moment to really talk about his issue with Giselle, okay? He starts off saying he was shocked with the claim, okay? And I'm like, oh my God, the tone of his voice, his body language. I was like so scared. I'm like, oh my God, Giselle, you about to get it now. And, Chris, he wanted to speak to his side and say that, he wanted to speak with Giselle. And Giselle agreed to talk to him and talk to her in her room because her team was there. And, Giselle, she wants to cut in and say what she wants to say, but that was his moment, and it was a time for Giselle just to listen, to at least give him the opportunity to speak, okay? And, what he says is that when she realized that her team was not there, that why did she not then say, oh, let's talk another time, or let's have the conversation some other day? But instead, Giselle, she decided to take on this conversation. And, what was the triggering part of it all is that when Giselle spoke to Karen, she made it a strong point to make that he needed to apologize for what he did. And what he wanted to know is, what did he do to her? And, he's waiting for Giselle to give a direct response to what did he do to her. And she couldn't really give much of a response, and he wanted her to get to the point because it's been like 10 months and not just 10 months of waiting, but 10 months of losing clients, 10 months of answering questions to his kids, answering to his family. And that was at the point where Candace saw her man getting choked up about it all, that she stood up for her man. And when she stands up, she goes for the jugular. Like Candace is very sharp with her words, okay? So what Giselle wanted to say is that, Chris had a lot to drink and it made her feel comfortable. That's what we finally get to. And what the back and forth was about is pretty much what he made you feel is not what he did. So it's about the whole semantics of it all. She is kind of merging the two words, feel and did, into one, to why he needs to apologize for what he did. And everyone is seeing it except for Giselle. And Giselle, I don't think she's going to back down from it because she already came this far. So all she can do is pretty much stick to what she said, okay? So I don't see her backing down from this. And of course, the reason why it became more of a situation for her is when she talked to Ashley, and Ashley talked about the interesting, inappropriate DM that she received from him, made it kind of justify to Giselle's mind that he's kind of inappropriate and we need to keep our eyes out and bring this to Candace, okay? But I'm glad that Andy, he stepped in to talk about the semantics and it not being the other girls, because I don't think Giselle would have received that. I don't think she received it at all, but she at least heard what Andy had to say, saying that he understand he made you feel uncomfortable, but that's not what he did. And what we are here to understand is that saying that he did something alludes to something more, something bigger, and it can be damaging, okay? Very, very damaging. And of course, Candace gets super, super, super upset. And she really goes towards Giselle's neck. And she says that, Giselle's able to do these and spew these lies because of her proximity to whiteness. And remember, they had a whole conversation about colorism previous episode. And there is so much implication, so much issues with these comments that Candace says. And I'm happy that Wendy, she spoke up against Candace's comments, saying that on the heels of the conversation about colorism, that you go ahead and say to Giselle and call her white. It's like you are, putting people into these boxes and keeping them into that place. Instead, what we should do is view each other as sisters, Black sisters, in which we go through stuff already in this world that we don't need to comfort each other. We don't need to be each other's enemies. And, Ashley was super, super, super offended with Candace, because she's like, you're inserting colorism here. You're the one making it an issue. What I want to say is that Candace, she is still very hurt of how this impacted her family. The comments she made is, of course, inappropriate. Will she take it back? Did she take it back? No, she didn't. She stands on what she said because she is hurt. And, she sees Giselle in a light in which herself cannot take that out of her mind, that she's already been kind of like accepting and programmed in a way to accept the division between the two. And I don't think she's at the point where she wants to separate the division and merge them into a sisterhood, because she doesn't view or see sister or feel sisterhood towards Giselle. She views Giselle as an issue, as a threat to her family, because Giselle have done harsh, inappropriate things to her family, okay? And, for it be the responsibility of Candace to hold the conversation of colorism goes to show you that this is weighing so much over Candace, that she has to be the one who gets impacted, but also have to defend and educate. That is too much to put onto one person, which is why the conversation of colorism needed a moderator, needed an outside opinion, outside source to really speak on this colorism that goes on in the show. And obviously, colorism, it's viewed in Candace's mind towards Giselle. All she sees is that this person who has lighter skin complexion is able to benefit from so and so and so, but you're name calling her and putting her into that box. So when you put her into that box, that's gonna manifest and come through into the situations that you're gonna see that more, you're gonna experience that more, and that's the only thing you receive from her. But I think when it comes to these two girls, they're never gonna see it for each other. I feel like Giselle crossed so many lines with Candace, and that the only way for these two to truly see themselves as equals is if they build and actually have a true sisterhood. And I think there's too much division, too much separation, that is no longer possible. But I want to see that for them. I really didn't like the comments she made towards Candace and towards Giselle. And everyone in the cast, they kind of looked at Candace, and Wendy had to pretty tell Candace, I know you're upset. I know this is your feeling of you defending your family, but what you said was not okay. And I wish they gave more time for Wendy to really speak onto why it was okay. But Candace, she shut it down a little bit. She said that she received the message from her sister, from her who she's in a sisterhood with, okay? I don't think she would have accepted this message from anyone else. She wouldn't accept it from Ashley, and I don't think she would accept it from Mia. But it's just interesting that, the girls are like, have we learned nothing from our 2-minute conversation about colorism? Of course you guys didn't. And it's sad, but, it was interesting to see how that all went down, to see how Candace was so calm to articulate her point, to say why she said with what she said, but she does not sound apologetic, because of course Giselle, she has white passing features. She sees that, and that's easy to say and target. But if you want to, in a sense, end colorism, you have to stop seeing her features as something that goes against yours, and accept that she's part of your sisterhood. She's a Black woman. Even though she's fair and she's light, she's still a Black woman, and you guys should be sisters, okay? One thing to point out is that it was interesting to see how quiet Andy was. I feel like he did not know how to comment, and I think he was respecting not to comment on colorism, because of course, how can he? That was not his place. But I wish they had a moderator to really, catch these nuances and call them out, okay? After, what was interesting is that Andy, he wanted to move into something more fun, and you could see everyone else wanted to move on to something fun. And I think when they talk about these issues about colorism, they are like, ugh, this topic again, okay? So now we get into Potomac After Dark, And pretty much we get some feedback of what the husbands have to say about their wives when they're on vacation. And what's so funny is Ray said no more Miami. That is not the environment he wants for Karen. So he's like, no more Miami. We talk about Robin's wild night, but we don't get that much. Pretty much what we get is that, her husband was pretty much happy she came home drunk. So that was that. Not much to contribute. But what they really were talking about is what happened in Mexico. So with Wendy and Mia and Ashley and Candace, these are the group of girls that was showing each other's coochie, okay? And what we got from this conversation is that Wendy has a pretty coochie, and that was that. So they could see each other's coochies but not get along. So I was like, ugh. I wish the season could be much more fun. I'm trying to make this work. But we get to a point where Ray gets to address the rumors on his wife. And, I thought that we would, get more information out of this, but we really didn't. Ray, he pretty much says that he was disappointed by the girls and that the season was nasty. He did not like it. And interesting enough, Robin feel like it was her moment to do reverse Uno, to talk about how Karen, what she said about Juan hugging her too tight, can be perceived as an inappropriate allegation to her husband. And at the end, I thought that was so hypocritical, because you could see it in the case you can see it in the case of Karen and Juan, but you can't see it in the case of Chris and Candace, because I feel like she placed this facade of her trying to protect Chris. But, we all know that Chris was a sacrificial lamb for this season. She was just trying to look good for optics reason. And pretty much the season ends and we get to hear Candace's song. And interesting enough, the girls are dancing. I thought Giselle was just going to sit down. If I was Giselle, I would just sit down. I would sit down and not get up. But that's how they ended the season. And then we get hit with the 2 weeks later. And the 2 weeks later is the interview, which I thought they could have kept that. Like, we saw what we needed to see already when it aired on the show. I thought we were getting additional footage. But Robin, she doesn't do much. Like, this interview was like it's so odd. The best part of it, though, was Ebony's face. Ebony's face was the highlight of the interview. That's all we got. Every time Andy asks Robin a question, you see Ebony's face go, And even Andy, like, how you can believe the lies that you're saying? It seems so like you had to really look in the mirror and rehearse the whole story over and over again until it somewhat made sense to you. Because Andy's face says it all. Like, do you really believe that's what happened? Do you really think nothing went down? And, pretty much what Robin had to say is that she was waiting specifically for Karen to bring it up. And, Karen is not the type to bring up stuff up first. If anything, she held a lot, and then years later, she brought up the inappropriate hug with Juan. But I don't think, given that this happened so recent, that it would be Karen to bring it out at that moment. So it's just, a cover up. She doesn't want anyone to be involved in her life or know much about her life. And if that is the case, then you should leave the show. The show is not for you. I think for the next season of The Real Housewives of Potomac, I would like to see Ashley come back. I would like Ashley to come back so we can see how life is following the divorce. Once the divorce is completed and everything. I want to see Candace come back because Candace, she, even though some of the words she said is harsh, she does, she can get along with these girls. I think she can get along with Ashley. She has tried to get along with Ashley. Even though we don't think she should, she does try to get along with the girls and she is open about her life. Karen's always a vibe. I like Karen. I would like to see her come back. Just because I do truly see Karen as the nucleus of the Housewives of Potomac. I feel like you always gonna need to ground down. Like, that's what the franchise of iconic. Like, you have the Grand Dame. Like, that is amazing, way to solidify your spot, to have something so catchy about you, like pretty much je ne sais quoi about you. Giselle could come back. I would like to see Giselle come back, but if she comes back, I don't want her to come back with Robin. I don't think Robin needs to come back. I want to see a season where Giselle is on her own and not with her green-eyed bandit. I think we would like to see her dating life. The girls are funny. Her daughters are so hilarious and they're so fun when they're filming. So I would like for Giselle to come back, not only for her sake, but also so we can kind of see her mend things with Candace. I feel like I think I really do need to see these girls, at the end of the day, give an apology to each other and build a sisterhood. I would like that. I really, really think we need to see that as an example of colorism and how we can heal colorism. But if that cannot be resolved with them, that's unfortunate. For Mia, I do like Mia as transparent. Should I think she could come back? If I was a producer on the show, I would see her as a liability. I would view Mia as a big liability because you don't know what you can say, if it's true or not, and if a lawsuit will come after that, So that is something to be mindful when bringing back Mia. And if Mia comes back, Jacqueline, I'm done. You through. I don't need Jacqueline to come back. I don't need Jacqueline on this show. Because obviously she would go and carry out a lie for a storyline, honestly. And pretty much that is it. What did you guys think of this season? I thought if I want to rate the whole season as a whole, I think this is one of their worst flop season. I give it like a 6. Because, of course, none of the storylines were true. It was a lot of rumors being passed along. The only groundbreaking information that we got from the season is about the true personal lives of Robin. And also, let's see. Nothing else was true. Oh, I guess it was good to see Candace and Chris get some sort of, resolution of it all, to get their point across to the public. But aside from that, it was like nothing much was accomplished in this season. I felt like they had better seasons for sure. So yeah, I think I would give it like a 6.5. I hope next season is much more brighter for these girls. I have not given up hope because, of course, they had better seasons. But what did you guys think? Are you guys disappointed as I am? I've saw some feedback from other commentators about the Real Housewives of Potomac, and everyone thought it was a waste of time. I honestly thought this did not have to be 90 minutes. It did not have to be this long. I felt like we got nowhere with these girls. And if anything, they all look crazy. And I'm with Ray. I'm disappointed with these girls. And this season, even though it was nasty, it was not the fun nasty. I like the fun nasty, not this nasty. So if you guys, if you guys didn't like this episode, don't take it out on me. I tried to make this work. But I'm excited to recap more shows with you guys. So if you want to, please share and subscribe. Join the gang, join the crew. I love to have you guys here. So yay, we finished with this season. We finished with this franchise. Look forward coming up on Wednesday. No, not on Wednesday. Sorry, not on Wednesday. One of these days, I'm going to drop Housewives in New Jersey. This is super fun. And Housewives in Miami is coming up. That is super fun. And I'm contemplating, I will probably go over Girls Trip that Candace and Giselle will be featured on. So hopefully that can give us some hope in these girls, okay? So take care and have a good one, guys. Bye.